Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Growth Quest. Today, we're going to be doing part 3 of our series on addiction. So at this point, you guys have already admitted that you have an addiction, and you've already started to seek out help through therapy and support groups. You have all committed to the recovery process, and you have been practicing having the proper mindset for recovery. So, what's next? Here is where we start to do some practical things to start protecting ourselves from our addiction. So the first thing I want to discuss here is building your defense. I like to compare addiction to an enemy that is invading your village. You need to build up some defenses to protect yourself from the enemy, from your addiction. So what does this look like? We're going to use the example of an addiction to pornography. So building up your defenses means you're going to get an accountability software and download it on every single device that you have that has access to the internet. And you're going to find as many partners as you can to send out an accountability report to these partners. The more accountability partners you have, the better the defense against the enemy. In addition to this, you're going to want to lock down any device that you have that has access to the internet in order to make it extremely difficult to access pornography on that device. And in the event that you don't have the ability to lock down a particular device, you want to consider getting rid of that device. Then the next step is cleaning house. So what does this mean? That means you want to get rid of any other pornography, magazines, videos, and maybe possibly even any normal movies that have nudity in them. You want to completely clean house. So the goal here is to make it very, very hard to engage in your addictive behaviors. The second thing that you want to do is change your environment. What does this mean? So the first and probably most important one, and probably the hardest one as well, is ending unhealthy relationships. So these are going to be relationships that are keeping you in your addiction. These are going to be people that encourage you to continue to use substances or engage in addictive behaviors. You're going to need to cut ties with these people completely. And like I said, this is going to be probably the hardest one to do. What else does changing your environment look like? It can mean something as drastic as getting a new job. If your job is part of your addiction, you definitely want to seek out a new career. It could also look like moving to a new part of town and or moving to a new city entirely. It could look like changing your commute. And lastly, you may have to make some choices that seem unreasonable. So what does that mean exactly? I'll give you a couple examples. It may mean giving up all social media entirely. It may look like giving up complete control of your finances to your partner or spouse or significant other. It may mean giving away all of your video game consoles and all your video games. It may mean getting rid of your smartphone and switching to a dumb phone. And yes, dumb phones do exist. It may mean giving your friends and family full access to your internet history and all of your internet activity. And yes, that can be very scary. As I said before, it may mean moving or quitting your job. And lastly, it may mean giving up all control in your life. And what does that mean? That would look like going to rehab. So here's the deal. I realize that some of these things seem very scary and require a major adjustment in your life. I just want to let you guys know that it's worth it to take these steps to building up your defenses and making these drastic changes to protect yourself from the addiction. The more defenses you have in your life, the greater barriers that you build between you and your addiction, the more success you're going to have. So I highly encourage you guys to do the hard thing here, make the hard choice, follow through, and do what you have to do to give yourself the best chance against your addiction. Now, you may be thinking, these are so restrictive. I don't know how I'm going to be able to live a normal life if I'm this restricted. So I want to let you guys know that these seem restrictive, but in the long run, they're actually going to give you way, way more freedom because you're not going to be worried about falling into your addiction, which is what the real restriction is the addiction. So it may seem restrictive to do some of these things, but in the long run, it will give you freedom. And there you have it, guys. Building defenses, changing your environment, making the hard choices. I believe in you guys. I know you guys can do this. As always, I'm proud of you, and I just want to encourage you all to keep up the great work and stick with this. It's going to be worth it in the long run. So go ahead and leave a comment in the comments section. I want to know what you guys are going to give up and or change to build up your defenses against your addiction. As always, like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.